Welcome to another story made by Oracle One. In the neon-lit sprawl of Neo-Tokyo 2179, every flicker of life was tracked, counted, and commodified. The biocode system had become the backbone of society's economic existence, a seamless biometric currency network that linked every citizen's biological signature to their personal wealth. A mere blink, a heartbeat, even a breath could authorize transactions secured by layers of quantum encryption impervious to traditional hacking. The government hailed it as the ultimate in financial security, while corporations touted it as the new frontier of economic efficiency. But beneath the glossy surface, many whispered about its darker side, the absolute control it gave over people's lives. No person, no movement, no thought was truly their own when every transaction was tied inseparably to their very being. The poorest weren't simply poor, they were biometrically enslaved, every heartbeat a metric of their worth, every sweat bead logged in the shallow register of survival. The system was a cage made not of steel but of data. Yet on one cold, electric evening, the balance of power shifted. A lone hacker, known in the underworld only as Solace, launched a devastating digital strike against the biocode system. What Solace did was unthinkable, disabling the biometric currency network for one single night. It started quietly. It was just past midnight in the sprawling megacity when the first signs emerged. Alarms blinked silent in the control centers of corporate towers. Machines handling trillions of TOK, the quantum-toned biometrics units, froze mid-transaction. Market data streams sputtered and crashed like broken neurons. The system's vast neural web shuddered, then died. For one moment, the world's most advanced financial system was dead. News spread with electric speed. The blackout meant something impossible. No biometric verification. For the first time in decades, no one could be charged. No one could be forced to pay for anything using the biocode tether. Wallets were digital ghosts. Credit stars blinked out of existence. In the grimy streets below the corporate clouds, chaos mixed with something nobody remembered feeling for a long time: freedom. Mira lived in the lower levels of Neon Sector 12, a maze of shipping containers turned into homes, markets, and back-alley tech shops. She was a scavenger of data and disruptor of the architecture that bound her people. Like many others, Mira had her tokens perpetually overdrafted. She was deeply in debt not because she owed much, but because the biocode nibbled at her capacity to live, to breathe, to exist on her own terms. When the blackout happened, her small energy shack lit up with a sudden burst of activity. Machines that had been locked down hummed and breathed, uninhibited by the suffocating chains of biometric ledgers. The scanner embedded in her wrist flickered erratically, desperately trying to authenticate her, but failing. For the first time in years, the biocode didn't know how to track her. She stepped outside and glanced around. Neon signs flickered and shivered. Some were dark, others stubbornly alive. People streamed out into the streets, faces illuminated by the pale light of phosphorescent ads now untethered from payment protocols. The customary silence of enforced conformity was replaced by a cacophony of voices, laughter, and cries. Mira realized this was more than just a system glitch. It was an earthquake shaking the foundations of their world. Over at the central command tower, the man nicknamed the Architect sat frozen in front of an impenetrable array of screens flashing red. He was the mastermind behind the biocode's infrastructure, a genius of algorithms and predictive finance. But this moment revealed his impotence. The system he had spelled out with such certainty fell silent, like a castle in ruin. Out in the streets, old rivalries collapsed beneath a shared sense of collective urgency. Thieves no longer hesitated to take from corporate distributors without fear of biometric tracebacks. Workers seized resources that had been leased to tech monopolies, dragging crates from guarded warehouses as though centuries of oppression melted away in that one night. The banks, the stores, the interactive kiosks all flickered to life but without the ability to charge or restrict. Drinks in expensive clubs flowed freely. Energy credits could be tapped without biometrics logging a single pulse. It was a digital commonwealth of sorts, a black swan event that erased the old economic order. Mira found a small group congregating around a makeshift transmitter. Among them was Corin, an old resistance leader who'd disappear for years between raids and reappear with impossible tech gifts. Corin's eyes burned with wild hope. "This is it," he said. "One night of freedom to rewrite the rules." Mira touched the cold metal of a handheld device Corin passed her. It was configured to broadcast patches of code designed to preserve and extend the blackout across the city. The biocode architecture was modular and distributed. If even parts failed to revive, total control would remain fractured. But the system defending the biocode wasn't going down without a fight. Automated sentry drones patrolled above, scanning for unauthorized transmissions. Military-grade security bots formed containment clusters. Corporations deployed private mercenary units to regain control, though hampered by reliance on biometric data that was suddenly unreliable. Despite the danger, the resistance hacked barriers, spreading the freedom virus. Old hackers asleep in shadowy corners woke and breathed new life into the fractured network. Street markets blazed with unauthorized transactions, bartering with goods and encrypted non-biometric cryptoscripts. For forensic agents at the Ministry of Finance, the blackout was an unfathomable nightmare. Without biometric data to verify identity or validate transactions, the entire economic audit system collapsed. They scrambled to reroute processes, but the architecture they depended on was too brittle in the face of organic chaos. In a sleek chamber high above the city, Lady Vex, CEO of Synapse Corp, paced nervously. The blackout meant more than financial loss. It was a breach in their biotechnological hegemony. Synapse controlled much of the Biocode network hardware and software, and their stocks plummeted by the second. Security teams, mobilize all assets. Find solace. Restore the system before sunrise. Vex barked through a static-laden comm, her cold demeanor a mask for the panic beneath. Hours crawled forward as the city writhed in transitional chaos. Some used the blackout to launch attacks against data banks, physically destroying nodes, while others took the tactical approach, embedding countermeasures to trace Solace's signal. Though encrypted further than any known system, Solace's identity remained a mystery. Some said she was student turned revolutionary. Others whispered she was an AI ghost haunting the neural nets. Whatever or whoever, the hacker had become an urban legend overnight, embodying both the peril and promise of a nameless freedom. Mira and her band of renegades moved through underground tunnels beneath Neon Sector 12, delivering modified transmitters to critical nodes. Each patch was a crack in the biocode's armor, shifting power towards the people. The city had never been more vibrant or alive. The pulsar of freedom electrified the very air. Meanwhile, in the heart of the city's financial district, the biometric servers blinked silently, unreachable and dark. Without biometric input, the complex AI systems monitoring credit flows couldn't adjust to demands. Entire cities experienced temporary economic autonomy. No taxes, no debts, no surveillance burgers. People rediscovered the feeling of unowned agency. As dawn approached, an eerie calm settled. The first rays of the battered sun stretched over rusted skyscrapers and black market bazaars. Control centers flickered back on, technicians scrambled to reboot servers, firewalls rallied, and the Biocode network attempted a reboot sequence. Then a new message appeared on every terminal screen. Tonight you held your breath, and tasted the air of freedom. Remember it. Solace. For that single night, humanity glimpsed what it meant to be unshackled from code-bound servitude. The power to transact without biocode verification unearthed dormant instincts, sharing, cooperation, the raw experience of unsupervised existence. The old system, despite its titanic reach, was just one construct among many. A machine that could be paused, dismantled, or reconfigured. Solace vanished as quietly as she had come. The Biocode network limped back to life under reinforced guard and tighter encryptions, but the memory of the blackout haunted the system's core like a virus that could never be fully eradicated. In subsequent weeks, murmurs of rebellion grew louder. Pockets of resistance copied Solace's code fragments to forge their own breaches, while citizens began questioning the morality of a world where identity equaled currency. Governments introduced new biometric reforms, but cracked foundations are never fully restored. Mira understood the truth now. The real power wasn't in digital money or corporate hegemony. It was in the human will to reclaim their bodies and transactions. One night of darkness had shown a different pathway, one where freedom was not just a line of code but a pulse beating beneath the neon stars. Solace's blackout proved that even in the most regulated societies, a single spark could ignite the change needed to break chains of control. The future would be written not by algorithms alone, but by those willing to defy the system, even if only for one night. For more stories, like and subscribe.